It is indeed my honor to be here today sharing with you the Buddhist teaching on overcoming our difficult emotions. On a good Saturday afternoon like this, you could have gone partying, picnicking, or went somewhere, taking fun and relaxation. But instead, you have chosen to come here to learn and explore what meditation is all about and how it can help you to live a happier life. I appreciate your interest and your search for wisdom, prajna, and true well-being. Today's topic we're going to explore is how to overcome emotional challenges. This is a broad topic. It's really a challenge for me to talk about this topic within 3 hours. But let's try to do it. According to a recent survey, nearly 40% of Hong Kong students may be suffering from depression. You may well know about this. Last year in Hong Kong, in the last academic year, 22 students committed suicide, and 8 of whom were at university. This could just be a tip of the iceberg, as mental disorder really affect a lot of other people. And many more cases of mental disorder tragedies are not reported. So today, let's explore it from the perspective of a Buddhist monk, how to resolve the problem. But I'm a monk. Before I start, I have to go through a short time of gracious rituals. So some of you may be Buddhist or may not be. You can follow up, you can chant with me, or if you know it, we can do it together. Put your palms together for those who know how to chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam sacchami. Dudiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dudiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dudiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tadiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. You may put your palms down. Yeah. So how to overcome emotional challenges? And I would like to delineate today's Dharma talk content. So what we'll be talking about, where do emotions come from? What is karma? What are emotions? Negative emotions lead to mental disorder. How do emotions arise? An overview of our mental experience with perspective of emotions. Now this is the theory part, to understand. So in order to solve the problems, we really have to know the causes of the problem. First, we have to understand the problems, and then we design methods to overcome the problems. And then what I'm trying to achieve next is how to apply the Buddhist teaching to overcome emotional challenges. First, silent meditation. Silent meditation is the same as consciousness therapy. And then I'll be talking chanting meditation, which is a kind of sound therapy. And in order to really know what I'm talking about, we have to practice it right here and now. 15 minutes each, how to actually do it at home. And then lastly, how can family members and friends help people with mental disorders? And this is the practical part, how to practice it. So we have to put theory and practice together. The subject content, the material that I'm going to use, of course I'm a monk, is from the perspective of the Buddhist teaching. Most of it will be more or less related to Vijnana Matrata, which is the study of the mind or study of consciousness. In the 8 major schools in the Buddhist teaching, and one of the profound schools is the study of the mind, which in the Sanskrit language is Vijnapti Matrata, or in common English is mere consciousness, or the study of the mind. And then we also have to introduce a little bit of Zen in the Japanese language, Chan, Chanzhong, and esoteric Buddhism. So we mix together not just the Buddhist teaching, we have to put some science in it. Neuroscience, vibrational medicine regarding sound therapy, and then we also have to introduce psychology into it. So it's a mixture of all the different knowledge put together. See how we can achieve all these within 3 hours. Lastly, we still have a Q&A session, probably for about half an hour. We see, we don't need an overrun if we can do it within 3 hours. So without further ado, let's get into it. Where do emotions come from? Comes from karma. Now, when we're talking about karma, I would have to explain what karma is, the meaning of karma. What we need to know, we have present life karma and past life karma. For those who don't believe in the religion, in the Buddhist religion, probably you would say, what would science talk about past life? I don't believe in rebirth. So if we don't believe in rebirth, we talk about present life karma first. What is present life karma? There's 2 kinds of karma, those relating to the present life and those relating to the past life. Our mind craves and attaches to all externalities. When I say externalities, it's everything about the whole world, sound, matter, taste, touch, everything. All externalities, external to the mind. Our mind craves and attaches to all externalities. We have been creating karma in the process of satisfying our desires through our behavior, speech, and thought. And karma disrupts our inner peace, induces emotions and sufferings. How does this come about? Karma is like a train. It runs on the track of cause and effect. We usually say, to explain cause and effect in very simple terms, we say a thought would give rise to action or speeches, because it all originates from the mind, from the thought. When the thought comes up, when it materializes, it gives action and gives speech, and actions and speeches give rise to habits. If you're repeating your actions, repeating your speech, it becomes a habit. And habits will become personality. Personality, that's your destiny. It all is governed by karma. So we have to watch our thought. It all originates from a thought. So if you want to overcome emotions, you have to start from the thought. And regarding past life karma, present life karma is distinguished karma. Past life karma is innate. You're born with it. That's the reason why some Some geniuses were born with the talent of music, singing, you name it, because they remember. They don't have to learn. At the age of 9, he could be playing, Beethoven, he playing a lot of music. He didn't actually learn it in this life, but remember from past life. It's past life karma, brought and accumulated up to this life. And what happens if we have very inferential, innate karma? In order to change it, the Buddhist teaching told us to carry out repentance, performance of good deeds, purification by practices of the Buddhist teaching. If I have time, I would touch on past life karma. But I doubt if I have enough time to touch on that. But what we need to do today, we need to finish present life karma. What is karma? Karma is an accumulation of actions of the body, your behavior, speeches of the mouth, and thoughts of the mind. So there's action, speeches, and thoughts, all accumulated and carried forward. So every thought counts. Every thought will be a seed in the karma. If it's carried on to actions, it becomes behavior, it becomes speeches. Karma also refers to the natural law of cause and effect, where each thought, action, and speech of an individual, which is the cause, influences the future of the individual. So there are 3 kinds of karma. Wholesome karma, and some people call it positive. Unwholesome and neutral. That almost embraces all karmas. Wholesome karma will lead to wholesome effect, because the cause is wholesome. Unwholesome karma leads to unwholesome effect, and neutral karma leads to neutral effect. The suffering and happiness we experience are the results of our actions, speeches, and thoughts reacting on ourselves. It is important that we have to know what karma is all about, because that's the source of all mental afflictions. Our karmic energy has been accumulated from one life to the next as we continue to experience rebirth. The subject of rebirth need probably another semester to talk about, cause and effect, karma, reincarnations, and all that. We're not going to deal with it today because in a broad subject like emotions, we restrict ourselves to the 3 hours that we have. Where do emotions come from? In the Lotus Sutra, Buddhama Puntarika, Lotus Sutra, Sakyamuni Buddha said, the triple world of samsara are full of turmoil, like a burning house, replete with a multitude of sufferings. This world is a world of suffering. That's a fact. Of course, sometimes we have happiness, temporary happiness, but ultimately, we're experiencing sufferings. How many sufferings are there? What kinds of sufferings? Generally, we have 8. Suffering of birth and rebirth, suffering of aging, suffering of sickness, of death, of being departed from beloved ones. The mom passed away, dad passed away, grandmom, friends. When they passed away, you are grief-stricken. You really feel the suffering inside. Or, which is just the opposite, suffering arising from living with hated ones, despised ones, people you don't like. You live with your wife with husband, but because of the children, there's a bondage together, but you don't love each other anymore. But you don't want a divorce because you want to look after the children, but you're still living with people you don't like. You may not love your husband or your wife, but you still live together. That's a kind of suffering too. Suffering of not getting what one wants, insatiable desire. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You always want more. You may have all the riches in the world, you may not have health. You may have riches, you may have money, you may have health, but you may have a broken home. It's always something that you want and you cannot satisfy it. And in the process of satisfying your desire, you go through suffering. You're not happy. Some reporters interview some very famous celebrities and richest people in the world, and they always say, money is not happiness. You cannot get happiness from money. It's the peace of mind that you experience that gives you the happiness. Not fame, not reputation. We always have insatiable desire. Suffering from interaction of the five skandhas, that we really have to discuss what the five skandhas are. The five skandhas: matter, perception, conceptualization, volition, and consciousness. They're interacting with each other, giving rise to all kinds of sufferings. And more than these are just generalizations of suffering. We have external sufferings, catastrophes, tsunamis, wars, germicide, all kinds of sufferings that we haven't even counted in there. This is just a generalization of sufferings. Most mental disorders emanate from or are related to these sufferings. The magnitude of emotions varies from person to person because of differences in one's karma, physiological and psychological five skandhas interaction. So all emotions have two perspectives, generally. The psychological side, what you think, and the physiological side, what you feel, from two perspectives. What are the emotions? Unwholesome emotions and wholesome emotions. Greediness, anger, lust, desire, infatuation, rage, hostility, hate, resentment, dislike. As far as ignorance is concerned, depression, sadness, despair, anxiety, self-abasement, self-obsession, self-pity, panic, phobia. It's lots of phobia. If you check a list of phobias, more than 100. Insectophobia, people afraid of cockroaches, insects, and claustrophobia. They don't like limited space. And there's another phobia, chromatophobia, fear of money. They don't like to handle money. Are you fear of money, or you're allergic to money? Joy, wholesome functions, wholesome emotions. Joy, happiness, cheerfulness, jubilation, and love, caring, compassion. These are the classifications of emotions. Which one do you have, or which one you don't have? Negative emotions lead to mental disorders. Depression, anxiety, sadness, despair, rage, fear, suspiciousness, autism, and ADHD. What is ADHD? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A lot of children have that, ADHD. And more and more of this kind of sickness is quite rampant in some North American locations. Addiction, pride, arrogance, all these originate from ego proliferation, ego aggrandizement, because of the ego, it gives rise to all these kind of anxieties, mental disorders. And mental disorders adversely affect your health, family, jobs, studies, marriage, career, business, public relations. Simply put, they affect your whole life, our whole life. How do emotions arise? Vimalakriti Sutra says, what's the reason of sufferings and mental disorders? Because of craving and attachment. There's some Chinese translation in there. So for people who would like to refer to the Chinese version of the sutra. So craving and attachment. When we talk about craving and attachment, how do we crave? How do we attach? Our eyes, our ears, nose, tongue, body, these are the subjective. That's you, that's me, internalities. And then it interact with objective externalities. Matter, eyes interact with matter, ears with sound, nose with smell, tongue with taste, body with touch, and mind with dharmas. And how do they interact with each other? This is the course actually of the study of the mind. It's from Vijnaptimatrata, or the Yogacara school of Buddhism, where we go deeply into how the mind thinks, how the mind functions. So, sensory organs, we have sensory organs, go into the details of how do we actually perceive things. How do the eyes perceive? Ears, nose, tongue, body. Sensory organs, now remember right now we're dealing with only the theory. We have to know, it's like a Harvard case study. When you're given a problem, you really have to know the causes of the problem, find out the problem, causes of the problem, and then deal with it with methods. And finally, the problem is solved. So you have to study why and how did it come about. Sensory organs interact with objects with attention, perception, and interaction. When we have this kind of interaction, habitually, what is arising? When your sensory organs are interacting with externalities or external objects, what happened to you? What happened to your mind? You have to know your own mind, though. People say, of course, this is my mind. I know my mind. I know everything about myself. I'm in control. This is my mind. But if you can control your mind, how come you get mad? How come you're jealous? How come you're arrogant? How come you're so greedy? It's out of control, and we may not know our mind is out of control. So, when your sensory organs are actually interacting with external objects, with attention, what is arising? Consciousnesses. And in the Buddhist teaching of Yogacara, there are 8 consciousnesses, not just one. When we're talking about consciousness, it's not just one consciousness. There's 8 consciousnesses. This was the Buddhist teaching 2,600 years ago. The Buddha went deeply into the mind. So, for those who are not exposed to Buddhism, at this moment you should know that Buddhism is not about superstition, not about blind faith, not about burning an incense, not about just saying prayers. It's about knowing yourself, knowing your own mind, and how do you deal with the problems. Subjective consciousness come about when you have this kind of 3-circle interaction. So, when your sensory organs are interacting with objects, you have craving and attachment. And consciousnesses, of course, depend on the sensory organs. So, this is a general picture of how we perceive the world. Our sensory organs interact to objects. When we interact with objects, mental functions, concomitant mental functions come up. So we have all those 8 consciousnesses, like they're the kings, the 8 king consciousnesses. But they're also the ministers who help the king to perform. And how many ministers are there? 56 ministers. Out of the 56 ministers, we call them concomitant mental functions. There are 26 bad ones and 11 good ones. So there are 26 corrupted, unvirtuous ministers who help your consciousness to achieve what they want. And there are 11 good ministers helping you to achieve wholesome deeds. So there's a tug of war between good and bad in your mind. It's because of this consciousness that are arising, and also because of the concomitant mental functions helping at the same time, simultaneously, to give behavior, to give speeches, to give thoughts. But this is not enough. The Buddhist study of consciousness required a whole semester to go through. It's not just in an hour. We can all talk about Vijnanamattrata. So in order to know a little bit more detail about how we think, how do we interact with the outside world, we need to know about it in a little bit more detail. Mental experience. Up to this stage, I hope you're not sleeping. This is all academic, philosophical, psychological. We haven't gone into the practical part of it. We interact with externalities. What do we interact with? Objects, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Our 5 sensory organs are interacting. When we say interacting, it's not the same as responding. We usually differentiate between the two. Interacting is to interact with emotions, with concomitant mental functions that are biased. And responding is you're like distance yourself from these emotions and look at with reality. Look at it with no distortion. You know, everybody has an internal commentator in their mind. Whenever things come up, you always like to give comment on it. Everybody has that biased internal commentator because you're interacting. When you're commentating on a ball game, you give your own opinions. Everybody's opinion is not the same because everybody's internal commentator is different. Now, when our perception perceive externalities, what happened? Then eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose, tongue, body consciousness all come out. You have that kind of consciousness, those 5 consciousnesses. But these consciousnesses, they only perceive. They don't judge. They haven't gone to the commentator part. So in other words, if I can use a company to give an example, these are the front-end salesmen, sales lady. In a company, these are the front counters. They're interacting with the outside world. Everybody has these eyes, ears, nose. You're interacting like a salesman and sales lady. And then, behind the sales counter, there's the Mano manager. His name is Mano. Mano is actually a Sanskrit word for cognition, rationalization. There's always a manager sitting behind all these hundreds and thousands of salesmen, and that manager can pull out old files, make budgets, have memories, criticize, rationalize, intellectualize, analyze, decision-making, creativity, firing people, hiring people. He's responsible for the company. He's the manager. But the 5 sensory organs, they don't make decisions. They just perceive. Your eyes don't make decisions, you know. It's your cognition part that makes decisions. Your ears, the eardrums only listen. It's only a tool. They don't make decisions. It's the mano that makes the decision, the cognition part that makes the decision. But let's study the cognition part. The 6th consciousness. Various functions of the cognitive processes, including interpretation and intellectualization of the perception. The mano is responsible for making all these rationalizations. And sometimes mono cognition don't need the salesman. It's just like sometimes we're not into, our eyes may not be interacting with externalities, our ears, our nose. When we're sleeping or when I'm meditating, I'm thinking about the past. I hate my past. I have an abusive child past. I hate it. I don't like it. So you create past experiences and you put your past experiences on the table, ponder on it, and agonize by it. That's the reason why people get depression, because they brought whatever is past, already gone. They actualize it as an impression, put it in the mind and ponder on it, attach to it. They can't let go of it. An abusive childhood, I hate my husband, I hate my wife, and how come I have a bankruptcy? How come I have this kind of destiny? He always brought the past back onto the present and attached to it. Not only the past, he worries about the future. The future hasn't come, but he always worries about it and put the future onto the table, ponder on it, and agonize by it. That's how we habitually think in this way. All images of the past, present, and future, your cognition not only see the phenomena as the actual reality, but they also have imaginations. They also brought the past into the present, bring the future into the present, and ponder on it. That's the reason why they get angry, rage, jealousy, hatred, arrogance. Cognition, the manager. And then in the company, not only the manager, we have all the front-end salesmen and the manager, we also have the board of directors. What do they care about? What did the board of directors care about? Profit. I only care about what I can achieve. Are you making money for me? How about my stock share? How was the price of the stock? I only care about how much money I make. The board of directors. That's your ego. You only benefit yourself. You only care about yourself. That's the ego attachment, the 7 consciousness in everybody. And we call it the manas, vijnana, in the Sanskrit language. The 6th consciousness is mano and manas. Manas is the 7 consciousness. That is the ego consciousness. Everybody has that ego, that self, I. Habitually, the I always exists from one birth to another. You personalize the foregoing consciousnesses with a self. You personalize everything you see, you hear, you touch, you feel. There's some more examples to come up, how our consciousnesses cannot let go of externalities. Personalization and arousal of emotions, and finally, store consciousness, which is the alaya consciousness. The alaya consciousness is a storage consciousness. So in other words, every thought that comes up in your mind, thought is energy, you know. Energy would never disintegrate. It will only change form. Once a thought arises, that thought gives rise to energy. And that energy in the Buddhist Sanskrit language is abhijja, a seat in there. And whatever action, speeches, and whatever you have done, all store into that computer. That computer can store billions and billions of memories. Everything gets stored. You think that in this life I have performed something wrong, and then you roll into the next life. You think all the karma is gone for this life. It will be accumulated and carried forward to the next life. It never gets disappeared. It's brought forward. It's a balance forward. When you're debiting credit, when they're not in balance, You always run into the general ledger to get into the next line. You always have to balance the debit and credit together for those who are accountants. You probably know about this. And whatever is out of balance, you always get into the next life. So that is store consciousness. And store of the present and past karmic energy. And some people may ask, what happened if I died? What happened to my karma? So when I die, all my sense organs are gone. No more of this sense organ, no more eyes, nose, ears, no more body. The cognition is gone because the manager is fired. You don't need the manager anymore. All the salesmen are gone, the managers are gone. And how about the ego? The ego consciousness, the manas consciousness, shrink into the eighth consciousness, the alive consciousness. And that's the eighth consciousness that's reincarnating all the time. In other words, that eighth consciousness is responsible for the reincarnation. So when a person dies, can you see the eighth consciousness, the alive consciousness? You can't see it. It's invisible. It all shrinks into that invisibility, and it's the last to leave the body. So in other words, when a person dies, the breath goes. No more oxygen. And then one after another, all these senses are gone. But finally, the alaya consciousness will be the last to leave the body. Where, from which locations your alaya consciousness leave the body? From 6 locations. When a person passes away, how do we know where is he going? Because we talk about the 6 paths of reincarnations. We have the 3 vicious realms and the 3 non-vicious realms, benevolent realms. The 3 vicious realms of infernal, animal realm, and what else? Ghost realms. And then you have the human realms, heavenly sentient beings realms, and asura realms. So when a person passes away, the alaya consciousness leaves the body. If it leaves the body through the top of the head, nirvana. If from the eyes, human realms. From here, from the eyes, it's not human realms, the heavenly sentient beings. From here is to the human realms. If the alaya consciousness leaves from the kneecaps, it will be the animals realm. From the bottom of the feet will be the infernal realms. So that store consciousness is responsible for the reincarnations after death. So these generally is the mental experiences, the 8 consciousness: eye consciousness, ears, nose, tongue, body, cognition, the mano consciousness, 7 and 8. These are the 8 consciousnesses that are always working in us. How do exactly emotions arise? Because we cannot let go. We always crave and attach. Our senses habitually attach to external objects, arousing wholesome and unwholesome emotions. Here are the examples. Our eyes attach to matter, vision consciousness arises. For example, seeing a sensual object arising sensual desire and something sensually attractive, then you're attracted to it. So that desire comes up. Sound, ears listen to the sound. Being insulted, arousing anger. Being complimented, feeling delight, feeling euphoria. You are very happy about it because people praise you. That's from the sound. But the sound itself, if you don't attach to it, is not effective. It's not the sound itself, it's the mind that attaches, the mind that craves. So don't blame externalities. Don't blame your mom for scolding at you. Don't blame your boss for scolding at you. It's because you attached. Or because you probably have done something that you attach and your boss attached to. And the nose, resenting pungent odor, attaching to fragrant smell. Tongue attached to taste. That's the reason why we'll kill animals for food. Buddhists, they are vegetarian, but ordinarily, just people are meat eating, they, because you like to taste. You like the taste of animal flesh. So humans, habitually, they kill animals for food because of the attachment of tongue to taste. These are just examples. Body to touch, tactility, attaching to material luxuries arising habitual greediness. And mind, attaching to past memories arising resentment or regret. So these are how the emotions arise. Emotions come from the mind. That's the major topic that we must know. It's not from externality. It's not from external. It's from internal. You're attached to it. Don't blame externalities for any anger that comes up. Emotions do not come from externalities, matter, sound, smell, taste, and touch, but from one's mind, one's consciousness that craves and attached to externalities. Simply put, emotions arise because the mind cannot let go of craving and attachment. Given all that, I've been talking for an hour already. All the theories. Probably you already know about it. But let's talk about some practical stuff. Something that can help. We have finished the first part of it to understand emotions. What we need is we need to solve problems. How can meditation help? How can chanting help? How do we practice it? And how do family members, if they have family members who suffer from depression, what should their attitude be? How do they endure the depressions with the loved ones? And this is what we're going to deal with right now. Something more interesting than just theory. How do we do it? We don't need to go to the meditation room. We just do it here. First of all, let's talk about meditation is not just silent meditation. There's sound meditation. Meditation, we have walking meditation, silent meditation, chanting meditation. And let's first of all talk about silent meditation, where you don't produce any sound, just sit there quietly. How do we do it? Silent meditation. Silent meditation is like a consciousness or mind therapy in modern terms. And meditation is in two parts. It's the concentration part and the contemplation part. Concentration is the focus because our thoughts have been desultory all the time, 24 hours, non-stop, think about many things. Concentration. We need the concentration. We're like a monkey. We have a monkey mind going from one branch to another. How do we stop the monkey? Stay put. How do we stop the monkeying mind? The mind is always moving. And you don't even know why you're moving. So we'll take care of the concentration part, the focus part. And then next we'll take care of the contemplation part, which is the wisdom part. How to enhance your wisdom, to review your wisdom. How to be in search of that kind of wisdom. We call it the vipassana meditation. In concentration, we call it the samatha meditation. And because when we are talking about meditation, there are more than a few methods. There's so many methods of meditation. The method that we're using now is anapanasati in the Sanskrit language. Anapanasati, in and out breath. And then for vipassana, we use satipatthana, the contemplation, the four contemplations. So let's deal with it now. Let's find a problem. How to solve the problem. We need the object of concentration. We need something to focus on in your meditation. Because our mind have been wandering all over the place. How do you get the monkey back? It's just like putting the monkey putting the neck of the monkey on the leash, the monkey has been going all over the place, doing all kinds of mischief, all kinds of bad deeds, and now you're slowly taking the leash and pull the monkey back. The monkey has been branching all out. So you need a leash, an object of concentration. That's the breath. Why are we using a breath and not a pool of water, a candle flame, or anything, any object? Why? The Buddha suggests to us to use the breath and not anything else. There must be a reason. Secondly, focus on the in and out breathing. Now that's about what we can do in this session, concentration. And then we deal with the 4 foundations of mindfulness. We have insightful meditation on the body, on the feeling, on the mind, and the mind impressions in a very fast way. We're going to summarize it because it takes a lot of time to study Satipatthana for the 4 foundations of mindfulness. But for the sake of practicing in here, we need to simplify it. First of all, let's deal with concentration. When you're at home or anywhere, you go in a park or in a quiet place, how do you meditate? How do you, if you're not meditating, if you're not focusing on your breath, what are you thinking? You're thinking of yesterday's grief, yesterday's experiences that you dislike, or yesterday's party, or you're thinking of the past, the present, and the future. Your thoughts have been all over the place. You absorb, you crave to externalities. Now, you want to pull that out and use this one single target. How many objects of concentration, attention you have normally? How many? Millions. I'm looking at you, you're my object. I'm looking at the lights. I have uncountable, immeasurable targets, objects of my attention. Now, I don't want all these. I want just one. I want to focus. I don't want to go all over the place. That's to train me if my mind goes wild, if I get addiction, if I'm addicted on drugs, if I'm angry, if I'm jealous, if I'm arrogant, if I'm fraudulent, if I do all kinds of things, how do I control it and say, no, stop, focus. I don't want to do all these things. I want to go back. I want to let go of all those. Well, in order to let go, you have to pull the monkey back first. Otherwise, you cannot let go. You have to stop your wandering mind here and now. Not tomorrow. Not about yesterday. It's gone. You want to do it now, here. That's why we always say here and now. So, concentration. How do we do concentration? Contemplation, we'll talk about it later. Let's first of all do the concentration. How do we concentrate? Why do we need to concentrate on the breath? The breath is your present moment awareness. If you're talking about the present moment, what is the most present? The most present is your breath. Why do we use the breath? Your breath is the most present moment. It follows you wherever you go and as long as you live. Easy to remember and control. It is the most akin to you as a focus object. Because in the Chinese meditation, there's so many methods. There is the contemplation, the focus on a koan, on a sentence, or on a chanting, on the name of a Buddha. You can use so many other objects to concentrate on, but here we followed what the Buddha told us. We followed the breath. And why did the Buddha say the breath? Because the breath is the most akin to you. You can feel it right now. A candle flame, you need a candle. You need the flame. If the flame is blown out, then you can't need you don't have the flame anymore. But the breath, you always live with it. It's your present moment awareness. It's the breath. So don't change any others now. This is what the Buddha suggests. Use the breath. Because people have the habit of looking for, when they learn meditation, you know what they do? They get onto Google and buy all kinds of books, all kinds of videos, get all kinds of gurus. They have 30 gurus, 100 tapes, 100 books. They wind up nowhere. It's right here, now, your breath. That's the most akin to you. You feel it. Why don't you use it? It's not me who suggests this. It's the Buddha in Satipatthana and Anapanasati. So don't look anywhere for anything now. You have it. You already have it. Why do you have to look? Don't look for it. It's right in you, your breath. And then, why do I have to break the habitual perpetuation of attachment? Why do I have to let go? I don't want to let go. Why do I have to let go? The breath deals with the present. The past and the future must be handled by the letting go. You have to let go of your past agony. You have to let go of your past happiness even. You can attach to happiness. I'm not happy anymore. Yesterday I was happy. Now I'm not happy. I dislike that because I'm not happy anymore. How come you make me unhappy? So you have to let go of that. And letting go of it deal with the past and the future. Halt the habitual egoistic thinking pattern that is causing sufferings. So that's the focus, and let go of the desultory thought. Now, after this slides, we're going to do the actual practicing. Before, our eyes attached to the matter, our ears to sound, nose to smell, tongue to taste, body to touch, mind to thought, and the seven consciousness to self. Now, what do? No more matter. Our eyes, when you're meditating, you're closing your eyes, right? You don't see matter. So that's go. You don't see any matter. Don't open your eyes and look around and see lights and see everywhere. You're closing your eyes. Your sound, you have to let go of your sound. When the sound comes in, let it float out. It will come in. The carving sound, any kind of sound outside, it will come into you. But at the same time, you let it go. Float it out. Your nose, the smell, the next guy sitting to you, him, he was just jogging, he had a lot of sweat all over the place, and this pungent smell, you can't stand it. You have to let that go. So when I was in Vancouver, I always told the students saying that don't come for meditation when you just jog for an hour, because you've been sweating and you really stink. You're affecting your next door neighbor. And also get rid of your garbage. You know how I tell all my students in the meditation hall, when they come to the meditation hall, I said, visualize this. Let me give you a garbage bag. Your hands, receive my garbage bag. So everybody closing their eyes and their hands, put their hands out like this. I said, I'll give you a garbage bag. You just visualize a garbage bag. And then I said, dump all your mental garbage into that bag. About the past, about the future, you worry about the future, you agonize on the past, dump all that. Dump yesterday into the bag, dump tomorrow's worries into the bag, dump it, all the garbage in there. Your arrogance, your hatred, your jealousy, dump all that in your garbage bag. Is it okay? We said, oh, okay. Dump that bag and tied it up and throw it out that door. So everybody was visualizing, yes, we're going to meditate, so we're going to put all our mental garbage into that bag and dump it out that door. And then one student said, I have a question. What question? When we have all these garbage bags at the front door, how do we deal with them? I said, don't worry about it. You'll pick it up when you leave. Finally, you will pick it up. Habitually, you will take it up when you leave. You can't get rid of your garbage. So this is how you let go. Let go of all your garbage in there. It stinks. So no more smell. How about tongue taste? You're not eating anything. You're not yearning for the flesh of animals, for food. Touch, that's the only thing left. Your touch, because you're feeling the air in and out. When you're meditating, you are as if you are a sesame seed. You're like a molecule, a little molecule where it sticks into the inside of your nose. Your little molecule stick inside your nose, and you feel the air in and out, in and out. It's that simple. It's not simple though, because after a few seconds, your thought goes away like a monkey. Then you have to pull back that monkey and say, okay, I gotta be in here. I can't go away. you go back to here. I don't know how long can you sustain that thought of being a molecule inside your nose, feeling the air in and out, in and out. That's the focus. So that's your only object. No more other objects. No matter, no sound, no smell, no taste, only the breath touch. How about a thought? What happened to your thought when you're meditating? You're feeling the air in and out, in and out. No inner commentator. When you're meditating, you say, this guy, or this lady meditating on my side, his perfume is terrible. I can't stand it. Her perfume is terrible. I can't stand it. So actually, you're commentating on the perfume. No more internal commentator. Stop your comments on anything. Break the habitual continuation of desultory thinking of the past and future. Attention on the present breath. Live your present moment here and now. And then as regard the self, let go only the in and out breath. Can you do that? If you can't do it, raise your hand. You cannot do it? Why? Why can't you do it? For those who cannot do it, it's so simple. You just have that breath, no more. Just this breath, in and out. That's your focus. You change all your millions of objects into just one breath. And you, at the same time, spontaneously, let go of all these disturbances of sound, smell, taste, and touch. Touch is okay, because touch on the breath. Touching the breath, touching the inside of your nose. Why don't we try it? That's how to train your focus. If you want to get rid of all this depression, anxiety, fear, worry, you got to control it. You don't let the thought to ponder and reponder and continuing the pattern. You have to stop it and put your attention on this breath. That is how you train yourself to stop the habitual pattern of sustaining to the depression, sustaining to this anxiety, sustaining to the unhappiness, hatred, rage. Stopped it by using another object. Turn to that object. And that's a neutral object. That's the breath. Can you do that? Can we try that out now? Let's try that out for 15 minutes. Don't sleep though. In a lot of cases, you just dozed away and you sleep. Then what kind of meditation is that? It's sleeping meditation. Some people said, oh, I was tired yesterday, and anyway, I'm going to Reverend Guan Cheng's lecture. It's good because he usually introduced some meditation. I can sleep during meditation. That's not the way. When you're sleeping, you're cheating yourself. And I don't want any snoring meditation. I don't want it to happen. No more snoring. Just meditate faithfully in and out. That works magic for you because you have been like a monkey. Now, you want to pull that monkey back on the leash. Don't pull too strong, though. He'll be dead. He'll be choked to death. Remember, there's a very important technique in this, which in some Chinese sutras always mention. When you use this as your object, don't do it too tight. In other words, some people, they meditate, I must use this as my object. I don't want mind to go away. Breath, in and out, in and out. You're so strong because your firmness is so strong that it's similar to what? Pulling your monkey and choke him to death. That monkey has to be pulled back gently with tender loving care and put the monkey right here. Don't choke him. So in other words, when you're, okay, I'm concentrating on my breath, and now my thought goes away. Don't hate yourself. Don't add hatred onto the concentration. Don't say, how come I'm like this? I don't have value on myself for putting this kind of concentration. Why come? How come? Don't be so strong in yourself. If your thought goes away, slowly pull it back and put it in here. It will go away again. Take it back, go away, take it back. If you train yourself in this way, as time goes on, that monkey would stay put. When you get angry, the monkey will stay put. When you get jealous, monkey will stay put. When you have anxiety, you will stop the anxiety because you know how to control your thought. That's the first step. If you can't even do that, how can you get rid of your depression, your mental afflictions, your mental proliferation? You can't get rid of it until you control your own mind. You are the master of your own mind, not God. You have that God in you to do what you want to do. Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. The mind wants to change for the better. The mind wants to get rid of this anxiety. The mind has to gear towards one object and get rid of all these desultory thoughts. No more. It's a tug of war. You want to win it, but you don't want to choke it. And when it goes away, put it back. And last but not least, don't sleep. I've seen people sleeping. Okay, let's try for 15 minutes. Be a master of your own mind. If you can't even do that, how can you get rid of all the mental afflictions? Mental afflictions, mental disorder is so common. Everybody has it. No one is free from emotions. It's a matter of the magnitude of the problem. So you're not free. You are not free if you are completely liberated from your mental afflictions. You're enlightened. But we're not. We have to learn. We have to get to it. Get into the path of enlightenment. Take your first step. You can't be lazy. You can't say, oh, I want to sleep. Oh, I don't want to do that. But when you are suffering, you really suffer. And I've heard from some sources that mental disorder will be the next number 2 killer of health. Lots of people have mental disorders, mental afflictions. And when you know it, your family members, your friends, they may suffer from it. Just taking medication is not the best way to do. It's just you're putting weed killers to kill the weeds. But you also kill your plants. You kill other roots if you just use medication. You have to do it yourself. You have to make that first step to make it happen. Control your mind. Focus. Right now, let's focus on it.